to the regular wiki, just easier to use. Then going here. Okay, so I didn't save it. Maybe it did save. Okay, let me go back to settings and general and wiki and save. Now it should be okay, and then back here. Okay, so here, this should be about you.
Mhm.
You know, you can put pictures and just write about, ESL teacher and so on. And
I wrote
then,
something. Disappeared.
sorry,
Before you change, there is an introduction about me.
edit, and then
I wrote something before you.
you wrote something?
Yeah.
Well, it should be here in this page, so you may have to change it and bring it up to this page. But there's, at least I don't see it here.
Maybe here.
Home?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me see, maybe we can do this. Okay, if this is where it goes when home is, okay. So let's see. Okay, good.
Mm.
Okay. And then problem statement. No, can't be general. Do you teach a class?
Right now?
Yeah.
No.
Did you teach one last semester, or have you taught?
Yeah, I have been teaching.
Okay, but you're not teaching. See,
Not I'm not teaching now. I have taught before,
okay.
like 2 years ago.
Well, try and think of a specific audience if you can, because basically this is intended to solve a problem with an audience. So try and think of maybe working with individual children or individual adults. So you don't want in general. Basically, you just want to put, okay, you have low participation in the 7th grade English class in something school. So make it as yeah, you're not solving the problems of the world. You're only solving. Sorry?
I explained here.
Don't touch the screen, please. Have little participant English class. Okay, in which English class? Well, you don't want it. It isn't all the English classes in the world. It's you have to pick a specific class. When you solve a problem when you design problem-solving activities, you got to have a real problem to solve, or else it's just academic. There's no way to prove that you've solved anything or done anything to improve it. So in general, you want to think of something that is specific, and so you might want to think about the last class that you had, or 7th grade class, and you would write students show low participation in 7th grade English class as evidenced by low grades, not returning homework. So you got to prove what you're saying. So no in general works in problem solving, because then you don't know what problem to solve. In general, you're not going to solve the general problem. So try and make it as specific as possible. Like think of a school, or maybe working individually with tutoring. You can do, say, working with 3 people. Of the 3 people, there's low responses every time they're asked to carry a conversation. They only say 2 words or 3 words. So in some way you want to make the problem that is solvable. So if you do in general, then you're not going to be able to solve it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but what do you think about it?
I think it's too general. So you might put these students, whoever they are, 6 students are not participating in English class. And you don't need the percentage may vary, because you don't want to talk about general. You just want to talk about, just make it like 3 people that you know and just their problem, nothing else. Be as narrow as possible. I know in academic study, they make it too general. They make it general, but if you're in TESOL, maybe you work with different audiences. So some audiences, like Latin Americans, may speak a different kind of participation. Arabic speakers may different kind of participation. So if it's talking about Arabic speakers, you may say in general, because you're not talking about teaching Spanish language people, are you? No, in general. So stick to the audience that you're working with. So in general, Arabic speaking people who are learning English.
that in audience analysis?
Okay, but in the problem statement, you have to, whatever the problem is, it has to be a specific audience. That means that it has to be a class that you know, or adults that you know. It's got to be some people you know that you're working with. Or that if you're working with, say, other people like Joe or John or other people in the class, then you use their class. So the audience has got to be real specific. And then, okay, so the problem statement, that's the problem statement. Am I recording this? Yeah, okay, so recording. Okay. So then the needs, okay, so basically what you want to just ask is what's needed to solve the problem. You don't care about the grade level that you teach. This is part of the audience analysis. So this would be in the audience analysis. So for the needs, you might describe the problem, people are not responding, so on and so forth. What's needed to solve the problem? So you only need one box and ask them to write down what they think be needed. So you collect the information and you think about yourself, then you just prioritize which is the most important. So say they say, we need extra money, we need extra tutoring, we need a computer program, we need a video. So you say, which can I do? Well, let's say for this activity, I'm going to do the video. That'll be the materials that I make. But you don't, everything they say, you just record. You just write down. So that means you find out from other people what you should be doing to solve the problem. So one person may say, buy a new program. And say you have the money, okay, we'll buy the program, solve the problem. Then audience analysis, that would belong in there. Okay, good. Okay, Malcolm School. Number of students are 15. Okay, students have 5 hours of English per week. Okay, how many boys and girls? What ages are they? You know, are they similar ages or are they're different? You know, sometimes you have kids that are much older. Also, yeah, boys and girls is important for this. And then scores, you know, ability, what scores have they had? You know, have they failed before or have they failed English? So what are their grade? You know, how many people are getting 90 or above in English? You know, just something that distinguishes the students as much as you can. You can also make a graph, like a circle graph, and you have boys 20%, girls 30%, or for 50%, whatever the percentages come out to be. So the audience really is very specific. Then your objective should be to solve the problem in some way. So here's the objectives, and you need to have one motivated. Let's see. You might want to just put, if you find out that they're not speaking and stuff, students will volunteer information, or if it's not speaking, students will be able to carry on a conversation with at least 3 changes of speaker. So that means that you and I would speak, and then I'd speak, you'd speak, I'd speak, you'd speak. So that's a good way to measure whether there's fluency, if you have a conversation where the answers are going back and forth. So you might have 1 or 2 of those, which is good.
You mean objective for every skill?
Yeah, the objectives would be students will be able to carry on a conversation, changing speakers 4 times. So that means that you speak, I speak, you speak, I speak, that's 4 times. 5 times you speak, I speak, you speak, back.
Okay.
So that means anytime you want people to speak, you want functionality. That's an important thing in TESOL. You don't care about grammar as much as getting people to function in a language. That's what TESOL is really important for that. Once they can function, then you can kind of get the edges. So so the objective number 1, they can function in English by doing something and something. You can leave it at that and just do your activity on that. So the rest of the stuff, students will show higher scores. Okay, you can put the students will score 20% higher in the participation credit. You can measure that. Okay, so then,
What about you just focus on speaking? What about the other skills?
well then, if that's what you're doing, then if it's test scores, what else besides speaking are you talking about?
Reading, listening, whatever I ask the students to participate in.
Okay.
they-
Okay, then the students are able to respond to questions as according to the levels there. According to the students will be able to respond to questions related to curriculum study. So whatever the curriculum is, they'd be able to respond to it in English.
And then you can actually look for upload files.
So if they can't do it now, then when they
So
start,
my objective here is very broad.
Go ahead and name it.
yeah, it's way too broad.
And that way.
You gotta make it as narrow as
if
possible.
someone looks at it, they could
Okay.
know what it is.
Then you need your task analysis or your task. So what are you going to do? So if you're going to train them or create something, then you would have a task. So say you want them to get to speak more. So what would be the first part of the start of the task? What would be the first thing?
Mm-hmm.
You tell me. What would be the first thing you would do?
Maybe memorizing first.
Okay. You can even give them a pre-test or something, just to see. And then once you know what the problem is, okay, then you would, first one is memorize words or something. What would the second part be after they memorize?
They practice.
How? Or practice is what?
By speaking with each other.
Okay. Is there anything else that you do before speaking? Well, in general, you might want to give them words to memorize. Second, give them dialogues to memorize.
Mhm.
So you write it out, what you would say in the grocery store. So one person pretends to be the grocer, the other person pretends to go in, and they memorize the dialogue. Do this, do that, do this, do that, buy this, buy that, so on. Once you do that, then you have them change some of the words by themselves. Instead of I want to buy some tomatoes, you can make it I want to buy some carrots. And then, and then have them use the same structures with different words, carrots, bananas, so on and so forth. So you have them doing the same thing that's over and over again, but you change enough words so that they get comfortable doing things. Then the next thing might be to stop and
You're going to
have them write down answers and stuff like that.
double click.
So that's what you want to think about.
So you want me to write something about what I'm doing, what I do with the students to improve it?
Yeah, for your task analysis, which you haven't made here yet, you need to make a new page for task. And then that new page would have just what we said. You'd have a new page for task analysis after the objectives. And you'd write, you just do it the step by step. Then the evaluation, you would have, could be a quiz or, is this for teachers or is this for students?
For teachers and for me.
Okay, so then you can have the teachers, they would evaluate, let's see, this would be more part of the audience evaluation. At the end, the evaluation would be, do you feel, or can you, or can you write objectives, or how do you feel about writing objectives of the strategies that we studied here in the class, which is the best? Because the evaluation has to relate to what they did in your instruction. So whatever you taught them to do, you have to evaluate whether they learned it. So if you ask them to speak more, then do they speak more? This is good. How many times spend on content? See, if you're teaching the students, then these questions are not for students. If you're teaching teachers, then you have to change your task. If you're training teachers to teach English, are you training teachers or students?
Students.
Okay, then this doesn't relate. So evaluation, you're just evaluating the students. If you want this for yourself, then you can put it somewhere else, but it doesn't belong at this point. And then you also need to add a summative